to all state level online lecture. I Miss Arundhati Mohan Patil from Gumfa Road Municipal Secondary English School, Jogeshwari East. Today in our English lecture, we are going to do the revision of clauses. Yes, in this topic, just we'll revise it. In this topic, we are going to see what is a clause, types of clauses. In that, we are going to learn independent clause and dependent clause. Then we are going to see dependent clause and its types and some examples for practice. Okay, so just we will see now first what is a clause. See students, first we will see the definition of what is a clause. Just we'll see what is a clause. See, a clause is a group of related words used together as part of a sentence. Then second point is it contains a subject and a verb. It has a complete meaning by itself. Which 3 points we have seen in a clause? That a clause is a group of related words used together as part of a sentence. It contains a subject and a verb, and it has a complete meaning by itself. Let's see the first example. See the first example. He plays cricket regularly. Now, in this example, he plays cricket regularly. See, we are going to see, is it a clause? We will check it. Okay. Is it a group of words? Yes. The sentence has a group of words that he plays cricket regularly. Now we are going to see whether there is a subject plus verb combination. Yes, there is a subject plus verb combination. He is a subject and plays is a verb. Okay, so there is a subject plus verb combination and it has a complete meaning that he plays cricket regularly. So this is known as an example of a clause, that a clause is a group of related words used together as part of a sentence. It contains a subject and a verb and it has a complete meaning by itself. Second example we will see. Second is, I graduated last year. Okay, now again see, this is a sentence, then it contains a subject and a verb. I is a subject and graduated is a verb, and a sentence has a complete meaning by itself, that I graduated last year. Third example, see, he is a wise man. Again see third example, he is a wise man. Now again there is a subject plus verb combination. He is a subject, is a verb. It has a complete meaning and there are the group of words also. So he is a wise man. Last example, see. See last example, John is my best friend. Now see, John is my best friend. Group of words is there. John is a subject, is a verb. Subject plus verb combination is there, and the sentence has a complete meaning that John is my best friend. So this is known as a clause. Okay. Now next we will see types of clauses. See, clauses are mainly divided into two parts. Types of clauses are independent clause and dependent clause. See, clauses are mainly divided into two parts. In first one is independent clause, that is also known as main clause, and second one is dependent clause, is also known as subordinate clause. Okay, independent clause is also known as a main clause and dependent clause is known as a subordinate clause. So first we are going to see what is meant by independent clause. See, the independent clause means what? See here. They express a complete thought or idea. Independent clause express a complete thought or idea. They can stand on their own and doesn't need any other clause for in existence. Which are the 3 points we have to keep in mind for independent clause? That they express a complete thought or idea. They can stand on their own and doesn't need any other clause for in existence. For example, see, you may sit. Now you may sit. They express a complete thought. Yes, you can sit. They express a complete thought or idea. There is no any other sentence for its help. So you may sit. It is giving a complete thought by itself. That you is the subject and sit is a verb. Okay. So this is a sentence, you may sit. This is an example of independent clause. Second example we will see, Rohan wants to be an engineer, so he is pursuing higher studies in an engineering college. Now here see, two clauses are there. Both of these clauses can stand on their own as a sentence. So these are independent clauses separated by a comma and conjunction so. Now Rohan wants to be an engineer. This is one clause. Second, he is pursuing higher studies in an engineering college. Now both of these clauses can stand on their own. They have complete thought, they have complete meaning. And they are, so these are the independent clauses and they are separated by a comma and conjunction so. So these are the examples of independent clauses. Again I am repeating that independent clause, they express a complete thought or idea. They can stand on their own and they doesn't need any other clause for its help. Okay. Second example we are going to see, second we are type of clause we are going to see, that is dependent clause. Now see dependent clause. Now first definition we will see dependent clause. See, a dependent clause or subordinate clause is a clause that cannot stand alone as a complete sentence because it does not express a complete thought. It is dependent on independent clause or main clause for a complete thought. It doesn't have the full meaning. Okay, see, a dependent clause, also known as a subordinate clause, is a clause that cannot stand alone. The sentence cannot stand alone. It needs the help of an independent clause for a complete thought, for a complete meaning. Okay, so a dependent clause has a combination of a subject and verb. Example we will see. See here example. Now you may sit. This is an independent clause. And second clause is wherever you like. That is dependent clause. If we are writing only wherever you like, the sentence doesn't have any meaning. The sentence doesn't have any complete thought. Wherever you like. But if we add the clause you may sit, the sentence gets a complete meaning. Means the dependent clause is depended on independent clause. So you may sit, it is an independent clause, and wherever you like, it is a dependent clause. Next example, see, the crew, second example, see, the crew could see the well which had surface only 50 meters behind them. Again, see, two clauses are there separated by a comma. The crew could see the well. This is the clause, this is the sentence which has a complete meaning, with complete thought, a complete idea. The crew could see the well. But second sentence which is there, which had surface only 50 meters behind them. If you are writing only like this, which had surface only 50 meters behind them, the sentence doesn't get any idea, no meaning. But if we add the sentence that the crew could see the well which had surface only 50 meters behind them, means it is now The crew could see the well. It is the independent clause, and which had surface only 50 meters behind them. It's a dependent clause. Hmm. Third example, see, the excellence of a gift lies in how appropriate it is rather than how valuable it is. Now again, see the how rather than how valuable it is dependent clause. The excellence of a gift lies in how appropriate it is a independent clause. The excellence of a gift lies in how appropriate it is. Fourth example, before you go to bed, you have to finish your homework. Now, before you go to bed, if you are writing only like this, before you go to bed, the sentence with the clause, you have work. The sentence gets complete meaning. So before you go to bed is dependent on which clause you have to finish your homework. So you have to finish your homework. It is an independent in the party. Hmm? When I came home, sentence don't have any meaning. But if we add the sentence, you were in the party, that is an independent clause. So when I came home, it is a dependent. Okay, so these examples which we have seen and definition about dependent clause. Now we are going to move towards the next types of dependent clauses. Now the next slide, see the types of dependent clause. The first one is noun clause. The first one is noun clause. Second, adjective clause, and third, adverb clause. Which are the three types of dependent clauses? The first one is noun clause. Second, adjective clause, and third, adverb clause. So first we are going to see about the first type, that is noun clause. Okay. So see first definition of noun clause, that a noun clause is a group of words which does the work of a noun with a subject and verb that functions as noun in the sentence. Okay, what is the definition? See, a noun clause is a group of words which does the work of a noun with a subject and verb that functions as a noun in the sentence. Second, noun clauses begin with words how, that, what, whatever, when, where, which, who, whoever, whom, why, whether, and whichever. Just keep in this mind that noun clauses begin with words how, that, what, whatever, when, where, which, who, whoever, whom, why, whether, and whichever. Just look at the first example. The first example, see, of the noun clause, see, she decided that she would become a teacher. Now, this is the sentence, she decided that she would become a teacher. Now, in this sentence, which is the noun clause here? That she would become a teacher. This is our noun clause. That she would become a teacher. Now, which is the subject here? She is the subject. Would is the verb. Okay. So, the sentence, see the noun is a group of words which does the work of a noun with a subject and a verb, and that functions as a noun in the sentence. Get it? So she, the subject, would become is a verb. Okay, it is a noun clause. So that she would become a teacher, it is our noun clause. Second example, see, it appears that Rahul will not come today. Now that Rahul will not come today is working as a noun clause. That Rahul will not come today is working as a noun clause. And here, which is the subject over here? Rahul is the subject. huh, and will not come is our verb. Will not come is our verb. Okay. So remember, see here, students, see the subject. Before that, what is there? That. Hmm? So, after subject, what is there? The noun Rahul. Okay. So it appears that Rahul will not come today. So that Rahul will not come today is our noun clause. Third example, I ask him what he likes. Okay. Now again, what he likes is our noun clause. He is the subject, like is a verb. Okay. So these are the examples of noun clause. Now examples we have seen, just again I will repeat about definition that a noun clause is a group of words which does the work of a noun with a subject and verb that functions as a noun in the sentence. Okay. Noun clauses begins with words how, that, what, whatever, when, wherever, where, which, who, whoever, whom, why, whether, and whichever. Now, next type of example, next type we are going to see, that is adjective clause. Now, just we see the definition of adjective clause. See, adjective clauses are group of words that contain a subject and a verb. An adjective clause, also called as a relative clause, is a dependent clause that modifies a noun or pronoun. So the adjective clauses are group of words that contain a subject and a verb. An adjective clause, also called as a relative clause, it is dependent clause that describes or modifies a noun or a pronoun. Adjective clauses almost come right after the noun they modify. Okay, keep in this mind that adjective clauses almost come right after the noun they modify, and adjective clauses begins with relative pronouns, that is who, whom, whose, that, which, and relative adverbs when, where, and why. Okay. So this is the definition of adjective clause. Just see our example. First example is, the hospital which you are telling about is famous for its doctor. Now the hospital in this sentence, which is the noun? Hospital is the noun. Okay. Which you is the subject and telling is the verb. Okay. So what definition we have seen? That adjective clauses are group of words that contain a subject, which is the subject here, you, and the verb, that is telling, and it is dependent that modifies a noun or pronoun. Now here, what it modifies? The noun, that is the hospital. So the hospital which you are telling about is famous for its doctor. So here, which is our adjective clause? Which you are telling about. This is our adjective clause. Which you are telling about is our adjective clause. Second example, see, the girl whose bag was lost has found it. In this sentence, which is the noun? Girl is the noun, bag is the subject, and lost is the verb. So what it modifies? Noun, the girl, the noun girl, it modifies that whose bag was lost has found it. Now here which is our adjective clause? Whose bag was lost. This is our adjective clause. Third example, see, the pizza that I shared with John was delicious. Now here I is the subject, then I is the subject, share is the verb, and pizza is the noun. Now which is our adjective clause? That I shared with John was delicious. It is a adjective clause which modifies the noun pizza. Okay. What we have seen, that adjective clause are a group of words that contain a subject and a verb, and it is adjective clause is also called as a relative clause, and is dependent which modifies a noun or pronoun. Adjective clause almost come right after the noun they modify, and adjective clause begins with who, the relative pronouns who, whom, whose, that, which, and relative adverbs when, where, and why. Okay, these were the examples and definition about adjective clause. Third, we are going to see, that is the adverb clause. The next type of dependent clause is the adverb clause. Just see the definition of adverb clause. See, an adverb clause is a subordinate clause that modifies a verb, adjective, or another adverb. Okay, what is the definition? An adverb clause is a subordinate clause that modifies a verb, adjective, or another adverb. Then it begins with a subordinating conjunctions like after, if, although, because, unless, as if. An adverb clause tells how, when, where, why, or under what conditions the action occurs. What's the definition of adverb clause? Again, see, an adverb clause is a subordinate clause that modifies a verb, adjective, or another adverb. It begins with a subordinating conjunctions like after, if, although, because, unless, as if. Then, and it tells how, when, where, why, or under what conditions the action occurs. For the first example, see, they came after the storm ended. Now, in this sentence, which is the subject, storm is the subject, ended is the verb, and it begins with a subordinating conjunction, that is after. And it modifies a verb, came. So after the storm ended, this is our adverb clause. Get it? Second, she ate as if she were starving for years. What is the example? She ate as if she was starving for years. The subject, was starving is our verb, and the adverb clause had begin with the conjunction as if. So as if she was starving for years, which modifies the verb ate. This is our this is our adverb clause. Third, I will get up early so that I will see you. Now again, see, here I is the subject, C is the subject, C is our verb, and so that I will see you. This is our adverb clause. Okay. So here we have seen now about the adverb clause. That adverb clause is a subordinate clause which modifies a verb, adjective or another adverb, and it begins with the subordinating conjunctions like after, if, although, because, unless, as if, and it tells how, when, where, why, or under what condition the action occurs. Yes, so here we have completed with the three types of dependent clauses. First, we have seen about the noun clause, then we have seen about the adjective clause and its examples, then adverb clause and its examples. Okay, now see here the examples are there, some that we are going to discuss. First one is I know where the treasure is. Now here which is our clause here? Where the treasure is. This is our which clause? This is our noun clause. I know where the treasure is. Second, I fear that I will fail. That I will fail. This is our clause which you have to do. You have to identify whether it is a noun clause or adjective clause. Students who are intelligent get good grades. Now here who are intelligent get good grades. This is our clause. There is the mountain that we are going to climb. That we are going to climb. This is a clause. We played in the garden until the sunset. Until the sunset. This is a clause. And they rested when the evening came. When the evening came, again it is a clause. Now, students, you have to solve it, whether it is a noun clause, adjective clause, or adverb clause. Hmm. Just again, we'll revise all the things, and we will see some. We will discuss with the some more examples of types of clauses. See what we have seen, that a clause is a group of related words used together as a part of a sentence. And what is there in a clause? It contains a subject and a verb, and it has a complete meaning by itself. Uh, So this is known as a clause. Second, what we have seen, the types of clauses. The clauses are mainly divided into two parts, that is independent clause, also known as the main clause, and dependent clause is also known as a subordinate clause. Then definition of independent clause, that independent clause express a complete thought or idea. They can stand on their own and they doesn't need any other clause for its help, for in existence. Then dependent clause is called as a subordinate clause, and it is a clause that cannot stand alone as a complete sentence because it does not express a complete thought. It is dependent on independent clause or main clause for a complete thought, and it has a combination of subject and a verb. Then which types of dependent clauses are there? Three types are there: noun clause, adjective clause, and adverb clause. First, we have seen a noun clause, that it is a group of words which does the work of a noun with subject and a verb that functions as a noun in the sentence. Then noun clause begin with words how, that, what, whatever, when, where, which, who, whoever, whom, why, whether, and whichever. More three examples we are going to discuss. Example is whatever you wish is my command. This is not there here. What is the example? Whatever you wish is my command. Hmm? Now you is the subject, wish is the verb. Huh? So you is the subject of the clause. Wish is the verb of the clause. And whatever you wish, this is our noun clause. Second example, I fear that I will fail. Now, I fear that I will fail. I is the subject, fail is the verb, that I will fail is the noun clause. Next example, I know where the treasure is. Hmm? Now, the treasure is the subject, is the verb, and where the treasure is our noun clause. Next example, I believe that I will pass the test. What is the example? I believe that I will pass the test. Now again, I is the subject, pass is the verb, that I will pass the test is our noun clause, which is the object of the verb is the believe. These are the examples of noun clause. Three examples which we have discussed and three examples which we have discussed now here orally. Next we have seen adjective clause. Adjective clauses are group of words that contain a subject and a verb, and also called as a relative clause, and it is dependent clause that modifies a noun or pronoun. Then adjective clause begins with relative pronouns who, whom, whose, that, which, and relative adverbs when, where, and why. Some more examples of adjective clause is students who are intelligent get good grades. Huh? Now, intelligent is the subject, get is a verb, and who are intelligent get good grades is this is our adjective clause. Hmm? Then, my sister who lives in Mexico is a nurse. Okay. Now, who lives in Mexico is our adjective clause. Lives is a verb. Mexico is a subject which modifies the noun sister. Again, I'm repeating. My sister who lives in Mexico is a nurse. The sister which modifies noun sister, lives is a verb, and Mexico is a subject. So, who lives in Mexico is our adjective clause. Then the umbrella which has a broken handle is mine. Now here again umbrella is a noun, broken is a verb, and subject is handle. Huh? So which has broken handle, this is our adjective clause which modifies the noun umbrella. Next example, see, he that is down fear no fall. Now that is down, this is our adjective clause which modifies the pronoun he. So he that is down fear no fall. Again see, that is down is our adjective clause which modifies the pronoun he. So three examples we have discussed orally over here about adjective clause. Next one is adverb clause. Adverb clause, see what definition we have seen, that an adverb clause is a subordinate clause that modifies a verb, adjective, or another adverb, and it begins with the subordinating conjunctions like after, if, although, because, unless, as if. An adverb clause tells how, when, where, why, or under what condition the action occurs. Some examples we are going to discuss about adverb clause. See, I will eat my broccoli after I eat this cookie. What is the example? I will eat my broccoli after I eat this cookie. Now here after I eat this cookie, we starts with the subordinating conjunction after. This is our adverb clause which modifying will eat, which modifies the verb will eat. Second, the rabbit did not stop hopping until he got back to his hole. Hmm? Now again here subordinating conjunction is until. So until he got back to his hole, this is our adverb clause which modify the verb hopping. They rested when the evening came. Now, when the evening came, this is our adverb clause which describes the verb rested. He talks as though he has seen it all. What is the next example? He talks as though he has seen it all. The as though again started with the subordinating conjunction. He, as though he has seen it all. This is our adverb clause which is describing the action of talking. He talks as though he has seen it all. So as though he has seen it all, this is our adverb clause. Next, we played in the garden until the sunset. Again, the played is the verb. Until the sunset, this is our adjective. This is our adverb clause, which modifies the verb played. Yes. So here are so three examples of adverb clause we have discussed over here. And these examples you have to solve it. I know where the treasure is. Where the treasure is the noun clause. I fear that I will fail. That I will fail is the noun clause. Students who are intelligent get good grades. Now, who are intelligent get good grades. This is our adjective clause. There is the mountain that we are going to climb. That we are going to climb, adjective clause. And we played in the garden until the sunset. Until the sunset is the adverb clause. And they rested when the evening came. They rested when the evening came. When the evening came is the our adverb clause. Evening is the subject, came is the verb. So here we have done the revision of clauses. Students, remember here there are two types of clauses are there. Independent clause known as a main clause and dependent clause is known as a subordinate clause. Anyone wants to ask any questions, students? Yes, students. Some more examples we will discuss about noun clause, that is, I know where the treasure is. I know where the treasure is. Rehan Ansari, you wants to ask any question? Rehan Ansari.
टीचर डिपेंडेंट क्लॉज का मतलब क्या हुआ टीचर?
Sentence which is dependent on other sentence, that is known as a dependent clause. I have told you the dependent clause is a sentence clause which cannot stand alone and which doesn't has a complete meaning. It does not express a complete thought and which is dependent on independent clause or main clause, that is for a complete thought, for a complete meaning, that is known as a dependent clause. Anyone asked to ask a question or discuss some examples? Can anyone tell? I know where the treasure is. Which type of clause it is? I know where the treasure is.
Miss, it is a noun clause.
From where it is a noun clause? I know where the treasure is.
From where the treasure is.
Yes, very good.
Where the treasure is the adjective.
No, it is a noun clause. The treasure is subject and is the verb.
Miss, I want a question.
It's, again, next example I will ask. He that is down, fear no fall. Which type of clause it is? He that is down, fear no fall.
Miss, adjective clause.
Yes, it's an adjective clause that is down which modifies the pronoun he. Then third one, he talks as though he has seen it all. He talks as though he has seen it all.
Miss, adverb
Yes,
clause.
yes, it's an adverb clause which describing the action of talking. In this sentence, he is the subject and seen is the verb. So students, have you understood about adjective clause, adverb clause and noun clause?
Yes, Miss.
Okay. How many types of clauses are there?
2 types.
Which are they?
Independent clause and dependent clause.
Clause, yes. And in dependent clause, how many types are there?
3 types.
Which are they?
Noun clause, adjective clause, adverb clause.
Yes, very good. So I hope so you have understood the topic of clauses and its subtypes. Yes, students. These questions come for this question, grammar question come for exam. Identify the clause. It comes in the paper also. Hello.
Yes, teacher. Hello.
Sir, I end with the lecture.
Yeah, yes, teacher.
Okay, thank you.